Good morning, my dear students. In the last video, we have discussed already, that is the humoral immunity, cell-mediated immunity. In that cell-mediated immunity, we have discussed, that is the cell-mediated immunity, it is offered by which type of lymphocytes? That is the T lymphocytes. Okay. So, in that T lymphocytes, we have already discussed, that is what are T lymphocytes, from where they produced and where they are functional, and also what are the types of T lymphocytes. So types of T lymphocytes, they are of two types. One, it is the T helper cells and also T C cells, that is a T cytotoxic or cytolysis cells. Okay. In the last video, we have already discussed, that is the mechanism of what? That is the T lymphocytes, that is particularly T helper cells. What they will do, the T helper cells undergoing what? That is a differentiation to produce what? The one of the chemical, what we will call it as the interleukins. Okay. So these interleukins, what is its function? Its function is to convert what? That is the all non-functional immune cells into the functional immune cells, so that is the it will affected on what we will call it as, that is the immune response on the antigen which is entering into our body. Okay. Now in this video we are going to discuss the another type of T lymphocytes which are TC cells. Let us look into the TC cells. So if you ask what? That is what are TC cells and what is its function? The TC cells are also called as that is T cytotoxic cells. So what is its function? Its function is, that is it will perform the highest level of immune response. Then if you ask me what is highest level of immune response, my answer is, that is, so in our body there will be a group of cells, what we call it as, that is the tissues. The tissues, it will contains what? That is the thousands and millions and billions of cells which are grouped together to form what? That is the tissues. Okay. So these tissues, in these tissues very few, that is, it means that is 10 cells are infected. So infected in the sense what? It may be viral infection, it may be what we call that is cancer infected cells are there. So these infected cells which are going to be destroyed. Okay, so which is going to be destroyed, so that the neighboring cells, the remaining all the neighboring cells and in the tissues, it will be free from infection. This is what we will call it as the highest level of immune response it will show. So how do they do? So it will done by, that is the one of the process, what we will call it as the cytolysis. Okay. So what is this cytolysis? Cyto means cell, lysis means destruction. Okay. So this destruction or breakdown, or that is of cells, it is done by which type of immune response, which type of cells? That is nothing but what? That is the TC cells. Okay, I already told what is that. The TC cells, which type of surface marker it is present? That is the CD8 marker. Okay, so that's why in case of the AIDS, okay, so what happens? That is T lymphocytes, that is T helper cells, that is what it is very important, as it is goes on decreasing what? That is T helper cells counts, that is a T lymphocytes count. What happens? That is the infection, that is immune response, it is goes on what? That is decreasing, because the TC cells, that is a T helper cells, which is a type of T lymphocytes, which is producing what the interleukins. Interleukins undergoing what that is it will helpful in the differentiation to convert all types of immune cells into the non-functional immune cells into the functional immune cells. Okay, so that is a T helper cells. It is very, very important, as well as that is a TC cells also very important, so that what we call that is the destruction of these viral infected cells and the cancer infected cells, everything it will be cleared and also neutralized by these T lymphocytes. Let us look into the mechanism of what that is a TC cells. Okay, so I already told that is a TC cells, it will shows the highest level of immune response, so that is in a group of tissues, that is a very few, they are infected with that is a viral infection, or we can say that is a cancer infected cells. Those are destroyed by these TC cells. Okay, so let us look into the mechanism. So like here for your understand, I have drawn a very simple diagram. So here we will take that is the lymphocyte, what that is a T lymphocyte, a cell in which it is having the T receptor, T cell receptor. Okay, so this T cell receptor, which surface marker it is present, that is what we will call it as the CD8 marker. Okay, so this CD8 marker, it does not, I already told this, does not have the capability, the T lymphocytes does not have the capability to identify an independent antigen. Okay, so whenever, that's why it requires what? It requires what? That is a complex. Okay, so a complex means what here? Here, whenever an antigen enter into our body, so suppose this is the antigen. Okay, what we call it as the antigen. Okay, so whenever this antigen it is entering into our body, so in our body a special type of cells here it is also present. So these cells in our blood, so what we will call it as, that is a ASC. Okay, so what we will call it as, that is a ASC. So this ASC stands for what? Altered self cells. Okay, what we will call it as altered self cells. Okay, so I already told it will shows the highest level of immune response to whom? That is a T lymphocyte, that is a C cells. Okay, so highest level of immune response in case such as that is a viral infected cells and also that is a cancer infected cells. So here also the ASS stands for what? Altered self cells. Then what are altered self cells? So altered cells, self cells are nothing but what? So any cells which are get into the alteration. So what is that alteration? So in our body, any cells which are altered, altered cells are present, what we will call it as the altered self cells. So what is this alteration it is present in this? The alteration it is nothing but, so the normal cells it is infected with, whether it may be viral infected and also that is the cancer infected cells are also there. So those cells what we will call it as the altered self cells. That alteration, that infection, it will be infected within the cells. Okay, so those cells are also called as the altered self cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, so this altered self cells, okay, which is having what? The surface marker, I already told that is it is along with a surface marker, the two types of, that is the complex. So what is that complex? That is a MHC complex. So in that antigen presenting cells, in case of the T helper cells, which complex it is present? MHC class 2 it is present, but in this ASC, that is a MHC1 complex it is present. Okay, so MHC1 class 1 it is major histocompatibility complex 1, it is present on the surface, what? That is a altered self cells. Altered self cells andre ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ? That is a viral infected cells or cancer infected cells. Out of those tissues only these 10 cells, what we will call it as the altered self cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, infected cells ಅನ್ನ. ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ MHC complex 1 it is present. Okay, so this is what that is the altered self cells with the viral infected cells with having the surface marker MHC class 1. So whenever here any antigen it will enter into our body, what happens? This antigen, so it is recognized by this altered self cells. Okay, so I repeat, whenever an antigen enter into our body, these altered self cells, it is recognized by by the altered self cells, these antigens. Antigen entry ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಈ altered self cells ಈ antigen ಅನ್ನ recognize ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Then this antigen, it is engulfed by these cells. Okay, which type of cells? That is a viral infected cells. These viral infected cells which is recognizes ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಂಟಿಜನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ these altered self cells, that is a viral infected cells, antigen it will engulfed into the cells and processed and displayed to the surface marker, which is that surface marker MHC class 1. Okay, is it clear, students? Okay, whenever the antigen enter into our body, these altered self cells, it will engulf that antigen and processed and displayed to the MHC class 1. So after that, these MHC class 1 along with the antigen and the altered self cells, okay, what happens when it will binds to the what? The surface marker of CD8 cells of the T cell receptor. Okay, so what happens whenever the T cell receptor of the surface marker CD8 cells, whenever it will binds with the antigen plus MHC plus class 1 and also altered self cells. Okay, so this complex undergoing what? That is with the help of T cell receptor. This is the non-functional T cell receptor undergoing along with this complex differentiation. Okay, so after the differentiation of the T cell receptor along with this complex, what happens? That is it will produces a group of cells, what we will call it as the CTL cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, what we will call it as CTL cells. These CTL cells are nothing but what? Cytolytic T lymphocytes. Okay, ಹಾಗಾದರೆ cytolytic T lymphocytes ಅನ್ನ ಯಾರು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? That is TCR cells undergoing differentiation. Again here also differentiation it is done by whom? That is it is differentiation it is taking place by what? That is the chemical which is produced by the T helper cells. That's why T helper cells are very very important in all types of immune response. Okay, so these T helper cells, okay, it will produce interleukins. Okay, in which with the help of the interleukins, these TCR cells, non-functional TCR cells undergoing differentiation, produces a group of cells, what we will call it as the CTL cells. CTL cell stands for cytolytic T lymphocytes. Okay, so what is the function of these cytolytic T lymphocytes now? So these cytolytic T lymphocytes undergoing what? That is a process, what we will call it as the cytolysis. I already told what is the cytolysis. That is a destruction of the cells, or that is a breakdown of the cells. Okay, so the cytolysis of the cells, it is done cytolysis of which cells? That is the cytolysis of what we will call it as, that is ASC cells. Okay, ASC cells means what? Altered cell cells. That is nothing but viral infected cells. Okay, so these viral infected cells, so these viral infected cells, okay, what happens? That is so whenever this CTL cells, cytolytic T lymphocytes, it will binds here. So it will undergoes what? That is a cytolysis, that is a breakdown of the cells, destruction of the cells with the help of a very important enzymes. It is present, what we will call it as the cytolysins. Okay, it is a very powerful enzymes which is gifted in our body so from whom it is produced? That is a cytolytic T lymphocytes. Okay, so ಈ cytolytic T lymphocytes ಇಂದ cytolysins produce ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So these cytolysins also produces some of the other group of enzymes, what we will call it as the perforins. Okay, perforins ಅನ್ನೋ enzymes ಅನ್ನು ಸಮೇತ produce ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So these cytolysins, okay, in which it will, with the help of perforins, it will destroys, it will kills what? That is these altered cells in a tissue, that is which are infected with the virus or cancer infected cells, some other infected cells, it will be destroyed. Okay, so perforins, the name itself indicates the perforins, what it will do? The perforins, it will create pores here or there, and also these cytolysins, what? First it will destroys the cells, and inside what is happening here? The infection, it will be taking place. That infection, what it will do? That is, it will multiply, the multiplication of the virus, it is taking place, and viral multiplicated cells also, it will be destroyed. So entire cell, it will be destroyed by the cytolysins, by these cytolytic T lymphocytes, which are differentiated by the TCR cells. Okay, TCR cells, when it will do? Whenever it will binds to the complex of antigen plus MHC class 1 surface marker of altered cells. Okay, is this clear? Very clear, students. So whenever these cells, it is destroyed by this cytolytic T lymphocytes through these enzymes, the surrounding what? That is the healthy neighboring cells, it is does not what? That is destroyed. Only these TC cells only kills, only destroys, only that is altered cells, that is infected cells. By this it is very clear. So how the mechanism it is taking place? By these TC cells, by the process, what we will call it as the cytolysis. It means that it will shows, that's why it is called the highest level of immune response ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Why it is called so highest level of immune response? Because the neighboring cells, it will get protected by the destruction of the infected cells. It may be viral infection or cancer infection. That's why these T lymphocytes, that is T helper cells, and also TC cells, it is very T helper cells, it is very important. So why the T helper cells, it is very important? Because it produces the interleukins. Okay, so which will converts the what? The differentiation of non-functional immune cells into the functional immune cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, so in this what? That is that's why while you come to the end of this what? That is the immune response. Okay, in our body there are different immune cells, and also the immune cells which is fight against the antigen which is present which is entering into our body. Which are those types of different types of immunity it is present? So let me recall, that is a humoral immunity, it is done by, which is that one? B lymphocytes. Humoral immunity, it is offered by what? That is a B lymphocytes, And B lymphocytes, what that is nothing but what it will produces by and produces antibodies. Then what are antibodies? Antibodies are the bodies which will that is antibodies which will the bodies which will binds with the antigens. Okay, so the protein molecule which will binds with the antigen directly, what we will call it as the antibodies. Okay, this is offered by B lymphocytes. That immunity, what we will call it as the humoral immunity. And the second type of immunity, it is nothing but what? The cell mediated immunity. So this cell mediated immunity, it is offered by which type of cells? That is the T lymphocytes. Again, T lymphocytes, it is of two types, T helper cells and also T C cells. T helper cells, in which it is helpful in, that is the immune response and the immune response in our body to all types of different types of immune cells. Okay, that's why, because it will produce the interleukins, in which it will convert the what? That is non-functional immune cells into the functional immune cells. That is the differentiation. And the TC cells, in which it is helpful in what? That is a cytolysis of what? That is a viral infected cells, or we can call it as the cancer infected cells. Okay, so there are other type of, that is T lymphocytes are also present, but here, so that is not, that is what our part. Okay, so it is much depth, so only we have to concentrate in this part. So if our body, okay, it is free from all the infection by our whatever the immune response in our body. So if our body, it will free from all infection and also all infected cells, it is destroyed in our body, and our body, it is normal. Is this any expectations of further immune response to our body? No. Okay, so that's why these T helper cells and the T cells, it is suppressed. It has to be stopped to produce the immune response in our body. So, and that function done by whom? That function is done by the one of the group of cells, what we will call it as the T suppressor cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. What we will call it as T suppressor cells. So I repeat once again, ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಂಟಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತವೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆದಾಗ. ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಗೇನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ, ಆಂಟಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿನೂ ಹೋರಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಹಿಮೋರಲ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೆಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದನೂ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಫರ್ದರ್ ನಮಗೆ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾ? ನೋ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ so that production of the T lymphocytes, it is suppressed by which, so it has to be stopped. Okay, T helper cells production ಅನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್. ಸೊ ದೋಸ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ T suppressor cells ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ what the immune response and also the cells involved in that, and also the function of B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. In the next video we will discuss the next topic, so whatever it is present in this chapter. So I hope you all understand, like this video. Thank you.